So what is the new paper from Fotospeed called Art Smooth Duo? Well, hello, welcome to this Fotospeed video, as always with me, Tim Jones. Today what we're going to be looking at is actually going to be looking at a Fotospeed product and a new paper we released back in September time, and it's called Art Smooth Duo, and it's a 210 gram book and album paper. So it's a fine art double-sided paper. Now, the big selling point with this paper, or the big advantage, is why we call it a book and album paper, is it's guaranteed grain direction on the short grain. So this means it folds really nicely along the short edge of the page. So if you wanted to make books, be it in French bound or Japanese bound, or you were making zines with saddle stitch, or you were making album pages that needed a fold in them, this folds nice and neatly. So I will demonstrate this to you of how this paper actually reacts. But before we dive into the Art Smooth Duo, please don't forget to subscribe to the Fotospeed YouTube channel. Just click that subscribe button in the bottom right. So it's all very well me telling you about Art Smooth, and it's a fabulous paper and it's absolutely great, and it folds really nicely. It's a fine art paper, feels great in hand, has a great structure and things. But all this doesn't really matter unless it prints really nicely. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it through its paces and see actually how it prints. Now, I have made some books for this, and I made some for the photography show back in September and things, and I have been quite impressed with it. And I'm not just saying that because obviously it's a Fotospeed video and things like that, please. It has actually been a really nice alternative. Now, I normally compare this to the other duo paper we do, which is High White Smooth Duo. That is actually 215 grams. Now, really, there's no difference between the two, apart from Art Smooth is that guaranteed grain direction. That's the big plus point of this paper. High White Smooth also has a higher white point as well, where Art Smooth Duo is a little bit off-white, so it has a little bit of a warmer tone to it, which actually I quite prefer, and it makes colour images look fantastic. However, I'm going to be printing some black and whites on it as well, and hopefully get some really nice results. I've printed a few like wedding pictures and things on it before, and it looked absolutely fantastic. So let's have a look at some prints and see actually how it performs in practice. The printer I'm using today is the Epson P700 that I've got here, and I'm going to be using this with a mixture of profiles and also the black and white mode as well of the printer. So everything should be nice and standard and look great. So let's have a look at the Art Smooth Duo 210. So I've made some prints on the printer. I've made some kind of golden hour shots in colour, some black and whites, and also my bright colour that I use kind of to test things just to see what the colour's like. I have to say, I'm impressed with this paper. Like I said, I'm not just saying that because I work with Fotospeed. I think that actually this is a really nice paper. But before we look at actually the prints, I want to just talk about the grain direction, because that is the real kind of plus point of this paper. What it means is when we fold a piece of paper over, now I'll do some close-ups on this so you can see. Now when we fold it over, basically we just get a nice fold going down. There's no kind of unevenness to our fold. If I fold against the grain, like I have in this one here, you'll see, hopefully in the close-ups I've done, that we get kind of a horrible kind of, it's not really a fold, it's kind of all bobbly and it's very messy and not very nice at all. So when we fold with the grain of the paper, which is going down, then we get a lovely, neat fold. So this is what this paper is really kind of good for, and that's why we call it a book and album paper, because it folds really nicely. You can also make cards with it really nicely as well. It's a nice weight as well, so they do stand up quite nicely. So another way to use this paper. But also, I have to say that this paper prints beautifully. It kind of really impressed me, to be honest. I normally use the High White Smooth as a paper because it's got a high white point and a high white kind of base to it. But the Art Smooth, I have to say, is probably going to be my paper for choice when I'm bookmaking now. Not just because of the grain direction, but also because of this. It's slightly off-white. It's just very, very, very slightly what we call a neutral white. So it's not a high white point. Now, it doesn't contain any OBAs either. So it is OBA free, optical brightness free. If you need to know what OBAs are and what they do, I've done a whole video on it. So please, I'll try and put a link in the description below as well. Now, these will artificially give the paper appearance of a bright white. Over time, though, they will evaporate, so things will go back to being that off-white, that slightly warm feel. So if you're eco-friendly and are thinking about sustainability and the environment and things, then OBA papers are a great way to kind of help with that. Also, it gives this lovely feel. So when it prints colour, especially like golden hour shots like this one, so it really enhances the scene and it just makes the colours pop off the page. With black and whites, if you've got kind of a lot of grey, you haven't really got a solid black in the picture, then it just suits it really, really nicely. And I have to say, the black and whites do look stunning on this paper. The delicate texture as well, because it's a very smooth paper and it's just got a very subtle hint of a texture. And you can also see the grain very slightly if you look very, very carefully. I have tried to put this on camera, but hopefully you'll be able to see this as well in the close-ups I've done and things. But it is so subtle, it might not come out the best on camera. Now, for colour images, like I said, for the golden hour shots and things, it works absolutely fantastically. But also for bright colours and things, because it makes it just pop off the page, that just slightly off. It still is a white paper. It is, I would classify, it's not as kind of warm as, say, a platinum cotton or something like that, or a legacy even. It is still a white paper and it contains no OBAs and it just looks absolutely fantastic. I'm really impressed with it. Again, another black and white here, looks great. In this picture here, I can just start to see the grain very slightly coming through, and it's lovely because it all runs in the same direction. Yeah, really, really nice paper, I have to say. And for wedding shots and things like that, works really, really nicely. So it does give a really, really nice black point as well, which just sets the rest of the picture off. So yeah, I like it. It's nice. I've made some books with it as well. So if you go on, I'll put some links to it in the description below as well, but I made a Japanese stab bound book with it. Worked fantastically. Just folds really nicely. You can punch the holes really nicely in it, and it does a really great job. And as a bookmaking paper, it does what it says on the tin. But also, just as an everyday paper, it's a great weight. It feels lovely. It's got this fine art feel to it as well, and it prints absolutely fantastic. So even if you're not into bookmaking, it's well worth having a go. It's also in our Matte Smooth test pack if you did want to have a try of it, which comes with 2 sheets of each of our Matte Smooth products out there, like the smooth cottons, platinum cottons, NST bright whites, etc. Those kind of papers with a lovely smooth finish. Now, it also comes in different sizes, so we've got it in A4, A3, A2, and a panoramic as well. The panoramic's really nice if you wanted to make, say, saddle stitch books or French link stitch books and you were making signatures with the pages. So you can fold it over and then you've actually got an A4 and you can print on both sides of it as well because it's double-sided. So a really, really lovely paper. I'm really kind of happy we introduced this paper because it feels great. And it prints beautifully, and that is the main thing. Everything else is kind of a byproduct. We can, if it doesn't print great and we don't get really good results, like a deep blacks and our black and whites look a bit wishy-washy, or the colours are just looking lovely and flat and things, then there's not really a lot of point. But this absolutely prints fantastically. My latest work was lots of vibrant colour and things, and I printed it on and it looked great and looked fantastic. So it's well worth having a go. Okay, so there we have the new paper from Fotospeed, Art Smooth Duo 210. So hopefully that's given you a bit of an overview of what the paper is, how it prints, what we can use it for, be it books, cards, or just everyday prints, to be honest, because absolutely fantastic. Like I said, it comes in these different sizes, A4, A3, A2, and panoramic. So all these sizes in cut sheet have the guaranteed short grain direction down the side there. So it folds beautifully. So well worth a try, and any questions, just let us know. As always, please don't forget to subscribe to the Fotospeed YouTube channel. And also don't forget that we have new videos coming out every Thursday. So on that note, I will see you next Thursday. Bye-bye.